So, welcome to this next tutorial in the series in which we're going to focus on creating lava. Just a couple of things before we start. So in the previous session we made these rocks, and obviously we're starting to run out of space on our canvas. So what we're going to do is double the size of that. So go to image, and go to image size. I'm going to show you a little bit of a problem when working. Now what you'll find is that if you try to edit the pixel dimensions at this stage, and you put say 364, it will change the one at the top. So the logical thing we're to do is to unlock the constraints. And what we'll do is, as this is in pixels, we're just going to double this pixel rate to 256, which should give us extra bit at the top. Okay, but it won't affect the sides. So if you do 256, push OK, and obviously we run into our first issue that it's actually stretched the information of the our individual layers, which we don't want. So push Ctrl Z to undo. Go to edit. Sorry, image. Let's go back to image size, and this time I want to change the document size. Now we know it's the height that we want to change. So if we click height and go to 2.16, which is double of 1.08, push OK. And the same thing happens again. So really we want to avoid using image size altogether. Okay, what we're going to do is go into canvas size. So a canvas, much like an artist's canvas, is the space that you draw or paint on. So in this one what we're going to do is double this size here to 2.16 in the new size. Now what this should do is add the extra space without warping our layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of the trees to the top, because obviously later on we are going to be creating some, in fact just Control Z, we are going to be creating some grass, and obviously it'd be nice to have all the sort of foliage in one part, all of the sort of rock and water elements in another. So let's just move this. We'll worry about their exact positioning later. Obviously that positioning is really important, given that we will want to make sense once we get into okay, I must have that layer locked. Okay, once we get into what I was saying, Game Maker, to locate the files. So for some reason that's not allowing me to select it, so let's just find where that is. Paving. If I just turn that off, it's definitely in this folder. There we go, Pebble, Mold, Deluxe, that's why. So if we unlock those, we should be able to just bring that down. There we go. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so now we've got some, clearly identified space, and our sprite sheet's looking quite full. Just a quick demonstration as well. One other thing, what we're going to do is go back to our cliff that we were working on, and if you want to change the colour of these, we can. There's a really sort of quick way to do it. So if we want to change our colour to suit more of this dark and moody theme that we have, rather than literal just grey, which is quite dull and unatmospheric, and sort of go to our colours. We can pick out a sort of colour that we like. Maybe we don't want one that's too powerful. Want one in the middle as well, so it can go lighter and darker. We'll create a new layer, and we'll go edit, and we'll fill that layer with okay, that colour's not showing, so let's go back, just run around here, that's okay, and then don't go edit, fill, and we'll go foreground colour. And what we can do is now actually add this as like an overlay, or so if you want something really strong, we can go vivid. We can play about with these, actually just change the colour of any of our layers. I think the actual overlay was probably the best one. Yeah. And so what we're going to do, what we can do then is just start to copy these elements over. So obviously we go to our style, fix size, and we'll just see what that is. There we go. I'm going to Control C. and then we can copy those over. Oh, sorry, Control Shift C, because we're trying to select multiple layers. I forgot, my bad. And we'll copy those in, and there we have it. So now we have a much more appropriate looking rock colour. Okay, probably could do going a little bit warmer to suit these, but again I think the mutedness actually helps it fit the colour of the pebbles. So go through, change the colour, but right now we're going to move on and we're going to start looking at lava. Just going to save that. It's just okay, there we go. Yep. And Control S to save that as well. So the first thing we're going to do is I want us just to have a look at actually lava itself. So the properties of lava are much like a river, except they're almost the opposite way around. So the bits that would be dark in the depth of the ocean would be you know, where these lighter parts are, and actually these bits at the top which have cooled down and started to turn back to rock, those would be like the light reflecting off the very tips of the water. So in many ways it is literally the opposite way around. It's almost like an inverted river with different colours. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, we're going to create a new scene. This time we're going to keep it as 64 by 64, and we're going to go 64, and then we're going to go by 64, and I think we're going to also create one and call this and create another layer, and we're just going to go new, and we're going to kick it into open, and we're going to have this one at 32 by 32. Okay, so 32 by 32. So in 32 by 32, what we're going to do is create our initial sort of tile. We're just going to double click to unlock that layer, hide it again, and what we're going to do is start with a dark black, I think. And what we will do, in fact actually we don't want complete black, but we'll have it a little bit more brown, okay, because we will want to get that dark out. And then we're going to go to a pencil tool, so push down, select it, create a new layer, and what we're going to do is create this sort of flow, okay, using the dark sort of the black. Okay, now, I don't mind some of these being a little bit thicker. We'll try it like that. But we want to sort of create these sort of spirals to make it appear as though, you know, we've got some lava that's sort of floating around. And obviously we can take it going from the, you know, these sort of centres and pull the tails around and make it look like it's flowing around. Yeah. The idea being that these will give us our sort of start points and knowing where to place our oranges and reds once we start painting those on. Okay, so we've added these parts on, and what we're going to do is we're just going to offset this again, make sure that they're all sort of matching up. So we'll filter, other, offset. By now you should be absolutely totally used to this process. Can feel a little bit repetitive, but remember we are aiming for this end result that's going to absolutely blow everything out of the water. It's going to look amazing, and you know, that's what we're striving for. You can't get that without putting the effort in and the time. So we're just going to bring this round. I've got a little bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit choky, I do apologise. Let's get this back. So this is looking starting to get there now. This is exactly what we want. Everything's sort of connecting up nicely. Might just bring a little tail around there as well, bring this up into this space a little bit more. There we've got these sort of thicker pools where they start building up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go to filter, I'm going to offset it back, and we're going to offset, do it again, should be back to where we were originally. And now what we're going to do is create, get an orange, I think. We want a sort of mid-tone of the middle range, and I think we're going to want this quite bright, because obviously the brighter it is, the more intense it will be, so the more powerful it will have. So what we're going to do is just paint this on around these elements. Okay, so again, try to take your finger off quite your paint brush off your pad if you're using it, your pen, or you unclick your mouse occasionally. That means when you do have to press undo, it stops erasing all of the bits that we need. So again, building up these assets is pretty cool. So it's a very different approach again. So in the earlier ones, we were being much more controlled over the way we painted on different layers. That gave us the control we needed to move things around and double check things. At this stage now, I feel that we can move on from that, and we can actually start using a much more painting style on the pixels. Again, the way you approach this will heavily influence the way your final product looks, and I'm hoping that we will see that variation within the end games that we create and all the assets that we create. Now obviously we want to strive for consistency, but actually showing a more dynamic range of different pixel art is quite nice for your portfolios, I think, thinking further down the line, and to be able to demonstrate that flexibility. And remember, mobile gaming in the UK is really taking off. It's big business. There's a lot of work out there for it, and so the more that you actually gear yourself up for that, the better. So again, we're just going to paint these through, and yeah, there we go. So it shouldn't take too much longer now. Again, remember to keep taking the pen off. So I'm really hoping to see some cool work come out, and yeah, it'd be really cool if we all end up with some really nice looking games at the end. So cool, so we've got that done. Now what we want to do is add our darker layers. So if we actually look here, sorry, on these images, so where the lava is cooling down, we end up with these black parts, okay, these black swirls. So if you notice, anything around where it's cooled down tends to go red. That's because it's emitting less energy, because it's colder. Here, the warmest parts obviously emit the most energy, and they tend to be white and yellow, okay, because they're pumping out the maximum energy. So we know when we're painting that if it's by these black swirls, it needs to be red. If it's away from those black swirls, then it needs to be white and yellow, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. Anything that's in this centre line is going to be bright white and yellow. Anything next to these is going to be red. Okay, so we will start with the we always start darker because we can always go lighter. So I'm going to pick this sort of orangey red here. Just see how that looks. It's making it look a little bit more like pink. So we may change that. As I say, we may. I'm not saying we will. Again, we'll just see how that looks, and then what we'll do is we'll just go back down. We'll pick like a much warmer red. Again, I'm quite conscious that we want this to fit in with our other parts. Okay, if we've got quite some subtle colours and tones, if we go in with this really violently bright scene, it might not look as though it fits in. So I'm gonna continue with this sort of pinkish and washed out one, and if at the end it doesn't look how I want it, then we can change it before we move on to the sides. Okay, and remember, your artwork, if it doesn't work out, don't just go, oh, whatever, it's not working. Please do try and work out what it is that isn't making it not work, because those are the qualities that you'll need in business, in the profession, when you're working. So it's this idea of mastery of your subject, and you get there through whatever you do in life. You get there through practice and through determination. So we can just bring this around all of these, and we do have to put it around all of them, because it is around all of them where it's cooled down, because there is less energy, and if we don't, then we start to lose that believability that we're going for. Again, so we can just bring that round. So I'm quite conscious that this video might be longer than the others in the series so far, so for that I do apologise. But but again, because we're just doing something slightly different here, I do need to sort of show you the whole process. And once we get to obviously making the sides and the other additional bits, those videos will be much shorter because we've looked at that technique quite a few times now. There we go. So again, just bringing it all the way around. And hopefully, I hope that when you do watch these tutorials, we are splitting our screen, so we have one window on this half with my video and the other half you doing the video, because obviously that will speed up your process. Those of you with split monitors, obviously you should be doing that anyway. It massively speeds up your time working through tutorials. Right, okay, so let's take a look. Yeah, so we're sort of getting there slowly. So what we need to do now is start getting a little bit lighter. So we're going to pick our colour, and we're just going to push this a lot lighter. I'm actually going to bring it in a little bit more yellow. There we go. I think, yeah, there we are. So what we're going to do now is in these sort of centre parts, we're going to start painting these sort of really light bits. Okay. Anywhere we can sort of get this in. Obviously we are quite tight on pixels at the moment, but again, thinking it will be worth it, and obviously providing it is quite tight like this, it will match the size of the water, and therefore it would just be that little bit more believable for your audience. And I think, yep, that's all in scale and proportion. It doesn't look off. So let's take a look, and we're sort of getting there now. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit because we do need to check it as well. So again, we're just going to zoom out. Cool. And then what we're going to do is get the white, and in a very couple of places we're going to add a couple of bits of this. Okay, we really want to be quite sparse with this. We don't want to go too over the top. Okay, let's get a couple in there. Let's take a look at that now. Yeah, cool. Okay, and what we're going to do is just add, go back. We're going to go for that really warm red again. In fact, we might go for a little bit of a darker one. And in just a couple of places, we're just going to add this. Okay, maybe to the inside of these a little bit rather than the outside of that, where these bigger bits are. Obviously on the thinner sort of arms, we can sort of leave them how they are. This should really enhance our sort of the warmness that's emitting from the lava as well. Yeah. Okay, it's still looking a little bit messy, I think, especially around this sort of section. It doesn't really follow. So what we're going to do is just paint a little bit more in. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, and then hopefully it should have tidied it up. Yeah, and then I think actually we're probably going to need a few more around here, just to make that feel a little bit more like it's supposed to be there, rather than it's just been added in. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is just double check this. We're just going to go to the filter of offset again, push OK. Just going to check that everything sort of matches up, and I think so. I think I'm happy with that. I think the only thing I want to change really is that, and yeah, I think that kind of works. We're just going to bring this tail down. Actually, we're going to bring this across here just for a bit of more offset. Okay, cool. So save your work. We'll call this lava 32 532, because remember we've got 2 pages. Then what we're going to do is Control Shift or Control C, and we're going to copy this onto our 64 by 64, and we are going to paint our other components around this, okay, which means it will be a lot easier, whereas before we made the corners and we were doing it sort of bunched up, putting sides around and that. This time it will be much more of a fluent process because we're going to do it all in one go. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm just going to save this file, save as, and then we're just going to go lava 64 by 64, save that, and then I will see you in the next video. Okay.